Mum, welcome to the interview on baby sleep. In this interview, you are going to learn all about baby sleep training, whether you're a mum-to-be or you have a baby already and you can't get them to sleep or get much sleep. So learn more, educate yourself, subscribe, like and share with your friends and help educate other mums. So hello and welcome to our baby sleep session. Now at the On Moms, we only partner with people that we trust, that share the same beliefs as us. And this is Anna from Annas Sleep Beanz. And Anna is the same as myself. We are looking out for mums, helping you on your journey. So we're going to look at baby sleep, or maybe the lack of baby sleep. Anna's going to delve a little bit deeper into what you can expect. So first things first, thank you very much for joining us, Anna.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. I'm going to be asking you just a few questions to get the mums to understand what's ahead of them.
Yep.
So first things first, what are they going to expect in the first 3 months?
Well, so in the first 3 months, it's going to be a lot of emotions. I mean, when I first had my first child, Charlie, I remember sitting on the couch and just crying for absolutely no reason. So that is a massive thing, and not to think it's a strange thing to do. If you are crying and all this, is very, very normal. But in terms of what to expect with your baby, they are going to be sleeping a lot. So a lot of people have this feeling that they're going to be awake a lot and they're not going to get much sleep. But actually, in the first few weeks, you'll find that all they do is eat and sleep. So it's not easy, but we need to remember that a lot of people say to us, sleep when the baby sleeps. Honestly, sleep when the baby sleeps, because they are going to be sleeping every sort of chunks of like 3 hours at a time. They're going to be feeding. Feeding can take up to about an hour. So then you're going to be up for an hour, feeding the baby, and then before you know it, you're putting them back down anyway. And honestly, if you're lucky enough, a bit like me, I can just go back to sleep.
Yeah.
So some people struggle with that, but if you can go back to sleep, honestly, I'd go back to sleep. Don't worry about the dishes or anything like that. Just get yourself back to sleep. So in the first couple of weeks especially, you're going to get good chunks of sleep out of the baby and you're just going to be feeding. After that, you are going to find that, things are changing and things are evolving. Your baby's maybe awake a little bit more. And a real common thing for people to do is to rock our babies to sleep. So, we love them so much. We've got them wrapped up and we're just, even if the baby's sleeping, we've got them in our arms and we're holding them onto them all day long. And it's very normal and it's lovely. But don't be afraid to put them down every so often.
I remember this well.
Exactly. So I did, and it wasn't until my mum said, Anna, he's fine, pop him down. Like, why do you have him the whole time? And, I'm trying to eat my food and I'm like holding him at the same time, trying not to spill anything on him. And I'm thinking, you're right, put him down. So try to get in the habit of, putting them down every once in a while. Go and have that shower. Go and have that food in peace because they're fine. Lay them down in their little bassinet or their little crib or whatever you've got for them. Usually we've got them beside us, on the sofa or whatever. You just pop them close by and you just get on with your day, put them down. Another good thing as well is carriers. A lot of people use carriers these days. They're great as well, it gives the baby some comfort, it can hear your heartbeat. It's really, really good for them and it is nice. Again, you don't have to have them on all day, have them on for a few hours a day, pop them down. But the more you get in the habit of putting them down, the more they'll get in the habit of laying down themselves. Whereas if we're holding them all day, then they are just going to expect that. And that expectation just doesn't disappear as they get older.
It's a two-way street.
Exactly. They're going to continue to want you to do that, right? So as they get heavier, you're not going to be able to hold them as much. So put them down when you can. You don't have to hang on to them all day. But certainly as they get a bit older and you start noticing, okay, this rocking to sleep is a dream. This is nice. They're going to sleep. You lay them down and it's great. But you will get a fright after a few months. So keep that to a minimum if you can. But certainly in the first 3 months, it's a lot of feeding, a lot of sleeping, getting to know each other. It's actually a really nice time.
It is a nice time, isn't it? Yes.
It's so nice because as they get older, you'll find that you have to do naps and things like that. You have to think about naps. Where are they going to be? They're going to be in the cot or somewhere. Whereas while they're young, they can be on the go. So you can still go around with friends, hang about, have them in the cot, have them in the pram, push them around in the stroller. it's no problem at all and they'll sleep wherever. So it's good to, you know, get out. Don't be afraid to go out. You know, a lot of people stay in when they've got new babies and they're scared that they're not going to sleep or they're not going to do this. And honestly, just follow the baby's lead. As long as they're feeding, sleeping, that's all they need for the first 6 months, really. Perfect. They're not doing anything else. So it's just all about repetition, really.
Perfect. So I think the main thing is, and probably the takeaway from that is, sleep when the baby sleeps.
Yes.
And try and sleep as much as possible. And enjoy it. It is your normal life, and baby is adapting into your life as well. It is a two-way thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, babies do change. I remember the first months very well of sitting around, pretty much glued to my sofa. I don't know about you, but I kind of got my snacks, you know, if you're watching TV, get the remote, get your books there, because once you're feeding, that's you're kind of stuck there for a long time.
Yeah.
So set up camp. But things do change. Obviously, the first few months, baby's sleep will change after the first few months. Now, we've heard about awake windows. Could you tell me a little bit more about these?
Yeah, so they come into place kind of, I mean, from birth, really. We never really know when to put our child back to sleep. Now, I've had lots of people say to me, you know, my baby's really struggling to fall asleep and he's screaming a lot, he's crying, I don't really know what to do, I'm trying to cuddle him in, but nothing seems to work. Now, that's usually because they're overtired. So they've got to a point where they've missed the boat almost, and now they're frustrated. So it's what we need to do is we need to try and grab them before they've become overtired. Yeah. So it's a bit of a tricky one, because what you want is you want enough sleep pressure for them to actually fall asleep, but we don't want them to be overtired. So for example,
that's a tough one.
Yeah, it's tough. So for the first, let's say, birth to 6 weeks, all right, you wouldn't expect your baby to be awake any longer than, let's say, 45 minutes. And then you'd be looking to pop them back down for a sleep. So that's when it comes into the first 3 months. Like I said, you're going to be feeding. It's going to take around 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how quick your baby feeds. I mean, Charlie used to take half an hour, 40 minutes to take his bottle, but then it would take 20 minutes to burp. So that's an hour gone already. So by the time I've finished feeding him, I'm then thinking, okay, he's going to need to go back down for another sleep.
Back to sleep,
yeah. So those 45 minutes to an hour fly by. They go so fast. So really you're just feeding and sleeping. Then when they get older, the awake window gets bigger. So let's say from 6 weeks to 10 weeks, you've then got an hour to an hour and 15 minutes before you're thinking, okay, I need to put them back down to sleep again. And then each, next again month, all right, now they're going maybe two hours.
It's constantly changing.
It constantly changes. So it's a good idea to get good knowledge on awake windows from the very beginning, so that you're not in this habit of allowing your baby to become overtired, distressed, upset, because then it takes them longer to fall asleep. So to make your life easier, just put them down for lots of sleeps. Lots of sleeps, and you might think, well, they've just slept like for 3 hours, they're not tired yet. You'll be surprised. The babies, honestly, at this age from 0 to 6 months, need a lot of sleep. And then as they get older, their sleep becomes consolidated. And then you'll find that you'll get a big chunk in the night, and then you'll find that naps then come in. But at the beginning, you're more looking at, how long has my baby been awake? Now, when should I put him to sleep? And that's regardless of whether they've had a 2-hour nap or a 30-minute nap. You're still looking at the awake windows at this age, and while they're still young. So it's important that you get a good understanding of them, so that you know what to do and they know what to expect. So it's the best way to go, really.
Brilliant, thank you. And you're probably now thinking, well, baby does get a lot of sleep. So the beginning babies should be getting a lot of sleep. Also remember, your baby is going to grow as when they grow in their sleep. So lots and lots of sleep is good for baby. So Anna, can you give us some advice on regarding safe sleep?
Yeah, so this is a really good one to cover, actually, just purely because not everyone knows how a baby or a child, a young person, should sleep. So what we say is that all babies, all ages and stages, should be laid flat on their back. All right, and when they're first born, a swaddle is really, really good. So that it keeps them nice and tight. It reminds them of being back in the womb. A lot of people use a sound machine, which is absolutely fine at this age. It sometimes calms babies, but we have to lie them flat on their back. So when they're first born, we're not wanting them in those chairs or anything like that, because we need their spine and everything to develop properly. So laying flat on the back is amazing, whether that's in the bassinet, a crib next to me or a crib in your room away from you. It doesn't really matter where they are as long as they're flat on their back. Going back to swaddling, if you're swaddling, then you need to remember that when they do start rolling over, that you want to be taking them out of that swaddle. And even if you think, well, he's not rolled over fully yet, take him out, because chances are he's going to roll. He's going to roll at night, and then if you're asleep and he's asleep, you're nobody's there to watch. So it's important that if they show signs of rolling over, just take him out. The next stage can be a nice what's it called? The
sleep suit?
Sleep suits. This baby is taking away my brain. The sleep suits are perfect. They're a next step for the baby. It still keeps them in that nice and tight environment, but it's safer. Their arms are out, and if they do roll, then they can cry to get your attention, or they can pull themselves back.
Perfect.
So, number one, flat back. Always keeping them laying them flat, at least till 6 months, even in the stroller. All right, try and keep them as flat as you can. And then also the crib has to be just with a fitted sheet. All right, no bumpers around the side, they're not recommended anymore. No cuddly toys or any blankets of any sorts in the crib. This is all just, suffocation issues. You don't want anything in there other than the baby and a fitted sheet. That's all you want in the crib. People can use the music devices. Again, they're fine. You just don't want anything that the baby can get stuck in. Yeah. Anything that, they can grab, pull down, and anything to cover the face. Yeah. So it's a good idea just to keep everything to the side. Just have the crib, have the baby, and have the fitted sheet. That's enough. Babies actually don't need anything to go to sleep.
They don't need much, do they?
No,
we seem to buy so much more, and they actually don't need very much at all at the beginning.
Exactly. You'll see loads of products out there that will say, this will make your baby go to sleep, or this will make your baby go to sleep. Why are we making our babies go to sleep? Yeah. They can sleep.
They can sleep themselves.
They can sleep. Yeah. So this is why, it's important that we give them a chance to learn. If it's same with walking. If we continue to pick them up and carry them up the steps, they're never going to learn to climb those steps.
They need to learn themselves.
They need to learn. So it's the same with sleep.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So safe sleeping. There's a lot of things there that we need to look into to keep safety at home with baby. So the burning question for everybody, Anna, when should I expect a full night's sleep?
Yeah, so obviously everyone asks me that question, and it's always, my friend, kid slept through this time.
I never listen to anybody at a mum's group, because everyone's going to have different sleeping babies.
Honestly, there's so many different ranges. For example, my own child, Charlie, he slept from 3.5 months, 4 months. He was sleeping through the night. And by through the night, I mean 12 hours. So I'd put him into his crib, he would go in and he would go to sleep. Then he would have his milk in the morning, and then he would actually go back for another nap. So that for me was quite early. I didn't force that. It wasn't something that I expected. I just went with him. But certainly on average, by the time the baby turns 6 months, their tummies are big enough to hold enough milk to last the night. That's the main thing. So if your doctor gives you the okay to say, yeah, your baby is healthy, their weight gain is amazing, they're doing really, really well with their feeds, probably at this point at 6 months mark, they're going to be on solids. If not, it's going to be very soon. So at 6 months, certainly, it's, advised that you can actually stop the night feeds. Yeah. And stopping those night feeds will mean a full night's sleep. So add the feeds during the day. Add extra sleeps in.
They're fuller in the daytime.
Exactly. You're just changing where you're feeding them. Instead of doing it at night, you're going to do it during the day. Yeah. But usually, as I said, solids come into place. So you're not having to up the milk, really. Yeah. But certainly from 6 months, a lot of babies can handle a full night's sleep. You're feeding the baby on your bedtime routine, so they're getting a nice feed before bed, and then they have their sleep, they wake up and have another feed. So then that's all they need for the night. So it can happen early, like 4 months, 3.5, 4 months, that can happen. But certainly by 6 months, if everything's good with growth and everything like in weight, then feel free to kind of look at dropping all the nighttime feeds. But yeah, I would go with what your baby is showing he needs. Because 9 times out of 10 at 6 months of age, if you're finding that your baby's still having 4 or 5 feeds, it's normally not a milk issue. It's normally not a calorie issue. It's they're using that dummy or boob, the bottle or the breast as a pacifier, a dummy. So they don't actually care about the milk. They don't need the milk, but they think that they need it to go to sleep. Yeah. And that's where it becomes well, you're not self-soothing yourself, you're relying on the bottle. And then that's when you think, okay, just pull off. They don't need it. So yeah, by around 6 months, I'd say on average, most people sleep through the night, but it certainly can happen before.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So we're looking for the 6 month mark to get a full night's sleep, fingers crossed. And I guess also things will change with your baby. Their sleep patterns will change obviously throughout their lives. Everyone's going to be different. You'll speak to your friends, they're going to have a different baby to you, so the sleep pattern's going to be different.
Yeah.
So realistically, Anna, what age would you recommend, if you need to, to start training? Well, we're all going to end up training a baby to sleep. Babies fall into routines.
Yeah.
Some we might enforce a bit more of a routine. Also depends on you as a parent.
Yep.
I personally like routine in my life, so my baby needed routine as well to keep my routine. But what age could you start maybe sleep training a baby?
So, like you said about routine, children and young babies love routine. If you don't have routine, they don't know what to do with themselves. So it is important that you start a good, strong routine when they're young. Now, technically you can sleep train from around 4 months. A lot of people hit the 4-month sleep regression, and that's when they think, oh, you know, what do I do? What do I do now? Like, they were sleeping absolutely fine before when I was rocking and putting them down, but now when I put them down, they wake up. You know, what do I do now? So fully expect that 4-month sleep regression, because that is just a change in the baby's, you know, development. You know, they're now realizing that, oh, I've just been put down, I'm going to wake up, please do that again. So from around the 4 months, you're going to see a bit of a dip, all right? But I would recommend sleep training, if you need to, from around 6 months. But before that point, you can certainly get into good sleep habits.
Yes.
It's all about habits. If you can get into a good sleep habit nice and early, then you'll find that you don't really have to train. You know, you don't really have to sleep train. It's more just like, that's what the baby expects and that's what the baby does. You know, we tend to put these habits on our child. You know, a lot of people think that, well, my baby needs a dummy to fall asleep, or my baby needs me to fall asleep. When actually, they don't. We've just taught them that way. So from 6 months onwards, if you're finding that your young child is, you know, as I was saying before, maybe having 5-6 feeds in the night, and you're thinking, this isn't right, not everyone's doing this, or, you know, why am I up so much in the night? Then you can start seeing the signs and think, oh, actually, no, the baby doesn't fall asleep themselves. I am feeding them until they go to sleep and then putting her down. So 6 months is a good time to sleep train, because as I said earlier, you can drop all the feeds at that point.
Yeah.
So it's a really good starting point for the baby, because there's not this, do I feed them in the night? Do I not? You know, that little hesitant. So you want to be able to say firmly, no, this is a bedtime routine. This is when the baby goes to sleep, and then you can fully expect 11 to 12 hours in the night, and then you get up and do your day. But sleep training, honestly, can be avoided if you just start early on, and it's about creating these healthy sleep habits at the beginning. But no matter what happens, for the first 3-4 months, you are going to do whatever it takes to go to sleep, because you're a new mum, you're figuring out what's sorts.
Going on, yeah.
Exactly, your emotions are everywhere, you're taking advice from strangers, and you don't really know what's going on. But the best advice that I could honestly give would just be, you don't have to hold them all the time. You know, you can put them down and still have that bond. And it is a good idea to just introduce these habits so that you don't have to then go through, you know, sleep training, because sleep training can be tough. You know, you have moments where you think, you know, do I want to sleep train? I've heard good things, I've heard bad things, I don't really know what to do. But if you're in a situation where you don't even get to that point, then that's ideal. You know, that's where we want to be. But each to their own, you know, and as well, if you're decided to bottle feed or breastfeed, there'll be a huge difference. So it's hard to take advice from friends, because they might be doing different things.
Yes, yeah.
And a bottle-fed baby to a breastfed baby is completely different. So it's all about just making sure that you're following the baby's lead, but you also have an understanding of what to expect and what should I do, you know, especially those awake windows. They are really, really good to follow and keep you on track. So it's the best advice is follow awake windows and try not to listen to other people so much.
Always. I always say this, don't listen to other people. I mean, do listen out for some advice. You never know, you might get some good snippets from some people. But if you're in a mum and baby class and you're sat next to the mum whose baby's had a full night's sleep, the mum feels fresh, don't think you're doing anything wrong. Every baby is different, and your baby will sleep eventually, or maybe sooner than later. And yeah, I think great advice there, Anna. It's been amazing. Mums, there's so much to think about with baby sleep. I'm sure you're very excited to have your baby and move on to that next stage. So I hope this session has been helpful. I'd like to thank you, Anna, from Annas Sleep Beanz. It's been amazing information, and I'm sure the mums will benefit greatly from it. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
I hope you've enjoyed this interview, Mum, and the most important thing is that you have learnt from it. So if you'd like to see more and to help me produce more content, more interviews, please do subscribe to my channel. So hit the button below and subscribe. Also subscribe, like and share with your friends, and together, Mum, we can help enhance and empower other mums' journeys. If there's something that you have liked in this video, or if there's something else that you want to see in other videos and interviews, please do comment below. Hope to see you back soon, Mum.